Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Melissa and I'm the owner of seasonandserveblog.com. So in today's video, I'm going to be telling you a bit more about our garden plans for the 2024 gardening season, including all of the seeds we're going to be starting, as well as the plants that we're going to be installing in our garden this year. If you saw last week's video, you will know that it's going to be our first year gardening in our new townhouse, and that I created 3 unique garden spaces to have in this home. So we are currently planning for a kitchen garden in our backyard, a cut flower garden in our front yard, and also a Mediterranean container garden on our balcony just off of our bedroom. So I would say if you haven't seen that video yet, go back and watch that video after you see this one, just so you can get a little bit more idea about what our space looks like, what our plans are, and all of the amazing garden inspiration. So all I can say is I'm super excited for this gardening season, and you know it's getting close when you start pulling out your seeds midwinter and start organizing and planning for that. So if you want to see all the seeds I'll be starting this year and all the plants that we're going to be growing, just keep on watching. So first we'll start with the kitchen garden, because this is where most of the seeds that I'm growing from scratch are eventually going to go. And I'm going to go by variety when I'm doing this. So I'm actually going to start with the different varieties of tomatoes that I'm going to be growing. And unlike previous years when I grew like 9 or 10 different varieties of tomatoes, we don't have enough space for doing that anymore. So I have narrowed it down to my top 4 favorites. So I'm very excited to share these with you. So I'll start off with the cherry tomatoes. So I'm going to grow 2 cherry tomatoes and 2 regular tomatoes. So for the first cherry tomato, we have the Sun Gold. And this has to be my most favorite cherry tomato ever. They are so sweet. It is like eating candy. It is amazing. Well, not maybe candy, but like for tomatoes, it is very sweet. And I like that it's a small little bite of sweetness. You're not eating a whole tomato that's sweet. So the cherry tomato size is perfect for this. And they are just beautiful too. The way they grow is incredible and the color is absolutely stunning. So I knew I had to include the Sun Gold cherry tomatoes in the garden this year. In addition to that, we are going to be growing the Sweet Million cherry tomatoes as well. Now, the Sweet Million not only taste delicious, but they also look really beautiful. You can see on the seed packet, they get these long sort of like vines growing. They are absolutely stunning, great for pictures. So not only are they pretty, they are also really good to eat. Not as sweet as Sun Gold though, but still really delicious. And then for our full-size tomatoes, I'm going to be growing this variety called Mortgage Lifter. It's kind of a funny name, but this is an heirloom variety of tomato, and it's an indeterminate tomato, so it'll keep growing basically forever. But I grew this for the first time last year, and it is such a good tomato. It really doesn't have a lot of juice in it, so if you're looking to make like a really hearty like caprese salad that doesn't leak out a lot of water, this is a really good tomato to use that for. So I've had really good success with this last year, and I'll be growing it again this year. And the last tomato seeds that I'm going to be growing are the Pink Brandywine. Pink Brandywine is another heirloom tomato, really also similar to Mortgage Lifter, not too juicy, but I find they're a little bit sweeter and they have a really nice light red/pink color to them. They are absolutely stunning and delicious. So I know Pink Brandywine are also really hard to find in the store if you are looking for heirloom varieties, but yeah, that's why I'm going to grow them in my garden this year. So sadly, we can only grow 4 varieties of seeds this year, or 4 varieties of seeds, could you imagine? Never. So sadly, we could only grow about 4 tomato plants in our garden this year just due to the space constraints, but I know that these 4 are going to be absolutely amazing, and I can't wait to enjoy tomatoes this summer. And I should also say in this video, you'll see me holding up all the different seed packs. I get the majority of my seeds from West Coast Seeds, and then there's a couple other places I get seeds from. I'm also very lucky to work with West Coast Seeds as a brand ambassador, and I do have an affiliate link in the description box below. So if you're interested in any of the seeds that I show you today and you're interested in purchasing them for your garden this year, you can click on the affiliate link in the description box below and it'll take you to the website. And if you end up purchasing anything off their website through my affiliate link, I will get a commission, a little bit of a kickback to me, which is really helpful, and it's at no extra cost to you. So it's a great way to support me and my YouTube channel and bring you lots of different garden content throughout the seasons. So yeah, just wanted to give you that disclaimer that I have an affiliate link, but yeah, I would appreciate the support if you are interested in any of the seeds. Additionally, if you're interested in a particular variety that I'm talking about in this video, I'm also going to have a whole blog post with every single variety of seeds that I talk about today linked. And again, those will all be affiliate links, so you can also look for that on my blog as well. And I'll leave the blog post also in the description box below. We are on to the peppers. So for my peppers, in our old house, we actually had a greenhouse, and I always grew my peppers in the greenhouse because peppers love hot environments. They thrive in hot environments, and the greenhouse is really the ideal conditions to grow peppers in. But I know a lot of people don't have a greenhouse. I don't have a greenhouse anymore in our new home, so I'm going to be picking the hottest spot in our garden to grow our peppers in. So when you're growing peppers in your garden, find the hottest spot where it gets the most heat, the most sun. And for me this year, that is going to be on our patio, where we have our black raised planters from Costco, and they're actually up against a fence, which will offer a little bit of radiant heat to keep heating the peppers and giving them that ideal environment to grow. So these are going in those raised black planters from Costco that I mentioned last week. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go back to last week's video and check that out. But yes, the first variety of peppers that I'm going to be growing is the Black Magic Jalapeno. This is actually going to be my first year growing this variety of jalapeno. I always used to grow the Jalapeno M variety from West Coast Seeds, but I did want to try this Black Magic version. It's organic, and I just wanted to switch it up. You know, sometimes you just got to switch it up and see what works and see if you have better success with it. So I'm interested in this. Again, jalapenos have a very mild flavor, not too spicy, but they are super delicious. And these are very dark, which I'm really interested in because the regular Jalapeno M variety is a little bit more lighter green, but these are like dark, like almost black. So I'm interested to see how these taste. Maybe I should organize these in order of heat. Maybe I'll do that. Next up, I'm going to be growing the pepperoncini peppers. This will be my second year growing them from West Coast Seeds, and I had really great success with them last year. I didn't pickle them or anything. I just cut them and just used them in stir fries and stuff like that, and they were really good. And occasionally you get a really spicy one, kind of like shishito peppers. You get one or two in the batch that are pretty spicy. Same thing with these. They are so good, and they are very easy to grow. Now we're getting into the heat. So first up, we have the Scotch bonnet pepper. I love Scotch bonnets. They have such a delicious flavor, very fruity, very floral, and they are spicy. So I like to make hot sauce with these, and making hot sauce is definitely a process, but it is totally worth it. Scotch bonnets make really great hot sauces, such as Jamaican hot sauce, Caribbean hot sauce, kind of inspired flavors. They are so good. So definitely going to be growing those. And the hottest pepper I'm going to be growing is the red habanero. Now I find these are pretty hot. I love spicy food, but even for me, these are like blow your head off spicy. And I just think it's so fun. I don't eat a lot of these, so really I probably eat maybe like 4 or 5 peppers off of one plant just because they are that spicy. You only need a little bit when you're cooking with it to really add that spice, but these are so delicious. I love them so much, and they are hard to find in the grocery store. Similar to Scotch bonnets, they are a little bit more specialty, so that's why I'm going to be growing them in my garden this year. All right, that's it for the peppers. Next up, we have our herbs. All right, so for the herbs, I have a lot. And I feel like I have a lot because as a recipe developer and someone who likes to cook generally, I'm always adding fresh herbs to dishes, whether I'm cooking with it or finishing off a dish. They are just so delicious, especially when they're fresh from the garden. I also think it saves you quite a bit of money. Instead of going to the grocery store and buying herbs every week, you can just continually pick them from the garden throughout the summer and even into the fall months. And you really just can extend the life of your plants and get a really nice high yield, which I love. So we have lots of herbs that we're going to be growing, and I'm going to be growing them in our raised garden beds as well as in some containers on our patio, just to add a little bit more greenery to the patio, because I was looking at our plans again and I was like, there's not enough green on the patio. So I think I'm going to do a couple containers of herbs there, and I think it'll be really beautiful. So first up is some chives. These are just like the standard chives that you find in the grocery store or you see in gardens. They have the beautiful purple flowers, and the purple flowers are actually edible. And what I do with them, I either sprinkle them on like salads and stuff like that. But a really fun thing to make is actually a chive flower vinegar. It turns out to be this really nice light pink vinegar that goes great in salads, great in basically everything. So when I grow these, I'll actually show you how to make that. So follow me to see that. But yeah, chives are just a staple. So I'm going to be growing those in a pot on our patio. I'm also going to be growing a variety of chives called lion's mane. And this is more of an Asian variety of chives. I bought these last year because last year we were living on Vancouver Island and it was kind of difficult to get more Asian style ingredients and vegetables and herbs. So I figured I could just grow them at home and it would be fine. But now that we're in the Lower Mainland, just outside of Vancouver, these chives are basically in every grocery store. But I still want to grow them from seed. I didn't really have the time to see the full success of these last year. Yeah, I'm going to try that again, and we're going to put these in our raised garden beds. Next up, I'm going to be growing a basil blend. Last year, West Coast Seeds did a collaboration with the Food Banks of Canada, and they raised a lot of money for them with just their seed sales. And this has a variety of different basil seeds. I'm not 100% sure which varieties they are, but I kind of could pick it out from what I grew from them last year. So they definitely had, and I just so happen to have all these, so I could also make my own basil blend, but they had the purple ruffles basil in there. This is a nice purple colored basil. It tastes just like regular basil, it just has a nice purple color. It's really beautiful. Also Genovese basil. This is the traditional Italian basil that you'll find in grocery stores and stuff like that. So that was definitely in there. And there was a couple other varieties, I think, mixed in. But yeah, they were all really good, really delicious. But yeah, I'm going to grow that. And then I'm also going to include some Siam Queen basil. This is a Thai basil. Thai basil has a completely different flavor than regular basil. So I will be also including that. And generally, I like to put my basil in and around my tomato plants. They are really good companion plants. So that is my design for this year. I'll sprinkle in some of the basil blend, grow a little bit of the Genovese and the purple ruffles as extra. And it just, like, tomatoes absolutely love it. They are BFFs in the garden and in the kitchen as well. Additionally, every cook, every recipe developer has to have some dill in the garden. Dill is very expensive to buy at the grocery store and it's never really fresh. I always find it's wilted or it's like getting wet and moldy in the plastic containers, so it's kind of gross. So I'm going to be growing dill fresh in my garden, so that'll be really nice to add to fish dishes or in salads. It's just so good and so refreshing. Additionally, parsley. Parsley goes good in everything, and I had really good success with growing this from seed before, so I'm very excited to try this again. This is the dark green Italian parsley from West Coast Seeds. So very bright, very lemony, delicious. Parsley is like a staple herb. I buy it like every week, so I can't wait to have a plant of that in the garden. Also similarly for cilantro, I buy it almost every week and it never really fully makes it, which is kind of sad. But winter months, obviously sometimes you can't do that. You can't be growing certain herbs all year round, but cilantro is really great to grow in the summertime. It actually wards off a lot of pests as well, just with the properties of the plant and the scent of it. So I love growing cilantro fresh in the summertime. Additionally, two other varieties. I'm going to be growing some English thyme. I had a really beautiful thyme plant in our old house that I grew from seed. I was super proud of it and I should have actually brought it with us, but I'm going to try and grow that again. So English thyme from West Coast Seeds. And I'm also going to grow some borage. Now borage, I'm definitely going to grow in a pot on the patio. If you grow borage once and you plant it in the garden, it drops seeds and it spreads like crazy. So I think by keeping it this year in a pot on the patio, it'll be a little bit more manageable. The borage in general is a really beautiful plant and I use it for the beautiful flowers. Flowers actually taste like cucumber, which I think is really interesting. And it is just super pretty to look at and the pollinators absolutely love it. So can't wait to grow borage again this year. All right, so we have our tomatoes, peppers, and herbs. Now I just have a whole big pile of general vegetables. I tried to organize these as best I could, but I actually think I'm gonna have to hold these in two separate batches. But first up, we have scallions. This is a new variety to me. It's called quincho, and I've grown scallions for many years. They are just so much cheaper to grow from seed, and it tastes so good coming out of your garden. But I always find with other varieties of scallions, if you leave them in too long, they actually start forming bulbs and like they'll actually turn into onions, which is kind of cool. But this variety, quincho, it's actually not supposed to bulb. So you're able to leave it in longer. I'm assuming it gets like thicker and bigger, but it doesn't actually form that bulb. So I'm excited to try this out. I've tried other varieties from West Coast Seeds, including a variety called IFL, like the Eiffel Tower, and also a variety called Redbeard that has a nice like red stem. When it gets nice and cold out, it turns red, which is really cool. But I love growing scallions. I put them basically in everything, so it's nice to have them fresh from the garden. Next up, we're going to grow some zucchini, and I'm going to be growing this variety called Goldie. I know in the summertime, zucchini is like everywhere and it's dirt cheap, but I'm going to grow this yellow variety just because I think the yellow zucchini is beautiful and yeah, something different than just plain green zucchini. So I'm going to be growing that, and of course, you know, once you start having zucchinis, it doesn't stop. It's kind of crazy how much zucchini you can grow even off of one plant. But not only do I like eating the zucchini itself, the flowers are absolutely amazing. So yeah, we'll be growing the zucchini in our garden this year. So next up are cucumbers, and I'm going to be growing cucumbers using the vertical gardening method this year. So I'm going to basically train them up a tomato cage and have the cucumbers kind of dangle freely in the air. I think this is going to be a good method. Cucumbers are basically vine plants, so they like to grow on trellises or anything like that. And it offers really good protection for the fruit and the cucumbers that come off of it. If they can just kind of dangle in the air, that is probably the best situation for them. So I'm going to grow one variety here. It's called Mini Me. These are just like mini cute little cucumbers, and they don't have a lot of seeds. The seeds are very soft, really watery, so nothing crazy. And then I'm also going to be growing and trying to use up this cucumber mix. Again, this is from the Food Banks of Canada collaboration that West Coast Seeds did last year. And this is kind of like a mixed bag of different cucumber seeds. So I don't know what I'm going to get, but we'll try it out and see. So I'm really excited to discover a new variety of cucumber. Okay, next up we have our lettuces. Now with lettuce, I kind of just throw it in wherever there's space throughout the growing season. So if I see space in my raised garden beds, I'm just going to sprinkle some lettuce seeds in there and watch them grow. But I'm definitely going to be growing this super gourmet salad blend. This is my favorite salad mix. You get a bunch of different varieties of lettuce in here with different colors and textures. It is super beautiful, and I find I could use this in multiple recipes, which is really nice. Additionally, I'm going to be growing little gem lettuce. Gem lettuce is really hard to find, and when you find it, even if it's fresh, it's always, you know, a little bit wilted, a little bit damaged. So I think growing it in the garden is really nice. So I'll be growing that variety, as well as a variety called Butter Crunch. And Butter Crunch, you've probably seen it in the store. It comes in the big sort of plastic bins, almost like alive, with the roots and stuff still attached, but it's nice and soft, but also crunchy. It is so delicious and has a nice mild lettuce flavor. So I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to be actually growing this hopefully for early spring for some home decor as well. I'm going to use this in some like spring Easter decorations that I'm planning for the house, but I actually have to start this because this takes 67 days to grow. So I gotta start this like after this video, but yeah, Butter Crunch lettuce is gonna be beautiful. I can't wait to show you my plans and what I'm gonna use this for decor with this spring. All right, next up we have some beans. I have two varieties of bush beans that I'm gonna be growing. First is the Maxibel filet bean. This is just like a normal like French green bean situation where you can eat the shell and the beans inside. They are so good, so tender, and there's a very short window I find when it's appropriate to harvest these. If you leave them too long, they do get tough, which isn't nice, but when you get it just right and harvest them and enjoy them, it is so good. So with bush beans, they grow really low to the ground. They probably don't get over 1.5-ish tall. So it's really nice, kind of fills in the garden spaces as well. And yeah, they're obviously very delicious. So I have the Maxibel filet variety, as well as a variety called Royal Burgundy. And this is just basically a purple version of the bush bean. It is so beautiful. It doesn't actually stay like this though when you cook it, unfortunately. When you cook these beans, they actually turn green again. But you know, just seeing it in the garden and having that different pop of color is really beautiful. Okay, next up we have some peas. This is my favorite variety of peas. This is the Super Sugar Snap, and these are the sweetest and crunchiest and most hydrating peas ever. I barely ever cook with these because when I'm in the garden in the spring and these are growing, I just grab them off the vine and just eat them. Like, they are so good, they are so sweet, so fresh, and literally like a burst of hydration when you're gardening. If you're thirsty, eating the sugar snap peas are really good. So you can obviously eat the full thing. You can eat the outer shell and the peas inside. They are so good. So I want to grow these on our trellis this year. I am still looking for the trellis. I've seen it online. We just have to go to Canadian Tire and buy it, but it is still available. So we got to get on that, I think. But this is going to definitely go on the trellis when we get it. And last up, I'm going to grow some squash as well. This is, again, going to grow on the trellis because the vining plants just grow like crazy. So I'm going to be growing the Tiana butternut squash. I've had really good success with these over the years. And yeah, it is just beautiful on the trellis when you see the butternut squash hanging down. It is so beautiful. So I always find when you're growing a vegetable garden, it is really helpful for pollination if you grow some flowers along with it. The flowers will attract pollinators such as bees, butterflies, all those amazing things, and can really improve the success of your garden. So I am going to nestle in a few different varieties of flowers into our backyard kitchen garden. So the first variety is a zinnia, and it's called Oklahoma Ivory. I feel like that's such a hard word for me to say. Oklahoma Ivory. Basically this one. But yeah, this is a really beautiful zinnia. They have big, beautiful blooms, and the ivory color is just, it's not white, it's like a creamy white. They are very beautiful, and pollinators go crazy for these. We also have another variety called Oklahoma Salmon. So this is just a pink variety of zinnia, also from West Coast Seeds. I think this will be really nice to have a pop of color, especially in the summer. Like, this is the most summery color ever. So love that. We're going to be growing that one. And then I'm also going to be popping in some snapdragons. This is the Potomac Ivory variety, and I just love snapdragons. They are so beautiful. And yeah, I just want some really nice white snapdragons this year. It's what I kind of feel like. So I got this variety from Stem's Flower Farm, and I'm very excited to see these grow. I love snapdragons. So in addition to those flowers that will be growing from seed, I'm also going to be putting in a couple of dahlias. And I'm also thinking, like, how big is this garden going to be? But my current plan with the space that we have allocated, I think I can fit a couple of dahlias in our backyard kitchen garden. So the first variety I'm going to be growing is called Arabian Night. I'll put the pictures up here on the screen so you can see. But Arabian Night is a nice, beautiful burgundy color one. And I love the burgundy colors, especially for like late summer, getting into fall, because it's just totally a beautiful fall color. So Arabian Night is going to go in there, as well as a variety called French Can-Can. This again has a little bit of burgundy on the back and yellow on the front. I love the two-tone dahlias. They are so beautiful. So this one will also go in our kitchen garden as well. Another variety of dahlia that I'm going to be growing in our backyard in our kitchen garden is a version of the dahlia called Platinum Blonde. This is a nice light yellow colored dahlia. It is so beautiful for summertime, and I want to see if I can kind of get an early start on it by starting the tuber indoors and then planting it out. It is going to be so beautiful, and I haven't had success with this variety yet, but I think this year is the year. We also have some plants that we actually brought from our old house to our new house to put in the garden. And I'm going to stay on the flower side of things, but I did bring my David Austin rose. The variety that I have is called Tranquility. It's a beautiful white rose with a nice light fragrance. I don't like the roses that are very powerful smelling. I just like a light rose scent. And this one is beautiful. And I wanted to put it in our backyard kitchen garden because I want to be able to sit in the backyard and enjoy the rose. I know that's probably the space that we're going to be using the most, and I think that's where I'll get the most enjoyment out of seeing this plant. So I have that here with us, so I'm going to place that in one of our raised garden beds. And additionally, I'll be planting our blueberry bush. I took that again from our old house to our new house. I couldn't leave it, although we had like 6 of them there. I had to take one of them for ourselves because summer blueberries are absolutely delicious, and I just had to have it. So I kept one, and I'm going to put that in the kitchen garden as well. Luckily, the blueberries stay really nice and compact. They have a nice long stem, and you can easily plant things underneath them. So I think we'll be able to squeeze that in really nicely next to the rose plant. So that is it for the kitchen garden. And I know you must be thinking, Melissa, that is so many seeds. And like, yeah, it definitely is. But really, when it comes down to it, I'll just be growing basically one of each of these. So it's really not too many plants, but yeah, we will see. I definitely think I planned the layout very well. I know I'm pushing it a little bit with the spacing of everything, but yeah, we'll see if it works out. And if it doesn't, we just adjust and, realign things where we need to. So our cut flower garden is going to be in our front yard, and I really want to enjoy this here because I love cut flowers. I love arranging them and growing them in my garden. They are just so beautiful and they bring me so much joy. So I do want to add a few more things to our front yard to make it look really beautiful. So the biggest thing that we're going to be installing in our front yard cut flower garden is a hydrangea. And the hydrangea that I got for this year and for this house is the incredible hydrangea from Proven Winners. This is my absolute dream hydrangea because as it grows, it emerges a nice green color, then turns to white, and then fades back to green. It is incredible. So, typically with hydrangeas, if you get a white variety, you'll see it turn a little bit more pink or more bluey purple depending on the pH of your soil. But this one they've actually modified to actually stay white and green. And that is just like ideal for me. Like that is just so beautiful. So I actually ordered that last summer from Vessi Seeds. It is a seed supply company and plant supplier out of Prince Edward Island. So I got a pretty good deal on it too, which I'm very proud of. But it's going to be shipped out, I think, in April or May. So when that arrives, I'll be planting it in our front yard. And that is just an amazing cut flower hydrangea. They last for so long in a vase. You can also dry them. It is so beautiful. So definitely had to have a hydrangea, and I'm very excited that I got a dream variety for this house. So the hydrangea will be the biggest plant going in our front yard. And the next biggest, I would say, are the dahlias. Now, dahlias are my absolute favorite cut flower, and I definitely want to include this in our cut flower garden. So I'm going to be growing various varieties of dahlias. So first up, we have a variety called Sweet Nathalie, and this is a really nice pale pink, almost white dahlia. It is super beautiful. I've never grown it before because I could never get my hands on it. But this year I actually was able to do that, and I'm very excited to grow this beautiful dahlia. I'm also going to be growing a variety called Sweet Suzanne. This is a beautiful orange, like apricot color, and it has a different leaf structure than the Sweet Nathalie, which I think is really beautiful. I love having all the different textures of the dahlias. So I'm very excited to grow that one. I'm also going to be growing one called Linda's Baby. I think some of these dahlia names, the flower names, are so funny. But yeah, Linda's Baby is just a really nice medium pink colored one. Super beautiful. I've grown this one before and had really good success. So I'm very excited to grow it again. And I'm also going to be growing in, I think we're up to 4 dahlias in the front, which I think is actually our max. So our fourth and final dahlia is one called Tyrell. I have never seen this one before, but I love the color of it, the nice pink. It's also nice and frilly, which is interesting. I don't think I've ever grown a dahlia that unique before. So I'm very excited to get that dahlia as well. And I actually got all of these varieties from a new shop that I discovered. It is called Lily's Garden. I'll leave the link to it in the description below. But they had so many dahlia tubers available, like even in January. It was pretty amazing. I don't know about the supply now, but it was awesome. So I got all these really unique varieties from there if you are interested. So the hydrangea and dahlias are going to be the main focal points, but there is going to be extra space in between those plants that I'm going to be able to fill in with some more flowers. So additional cut flowers that I really like are cosmos. So I'm going to be growing one called Snow Puff. I've grown these every single year, I think, for the past 5 or 6 years. They have such a beautiful texture and they're very just whimsical and beautiful, and they make very good cut flowers. So yeah, the Snow Puff Double Click from West Coast Seeds is what I'll be growing. I'm also going to see if I can sneak in another variety. This is called Xanthos. This is actually from Vessi Seeds, but it is a yellow version of the Cosmo, and it is super beautiful. I love it. So I'm going to be growing those as well. I'm also going to be sneaking in a little bit of cornflowers here and there, just to add a little bit of pop of color. And I think the blue color of the cornflowers is really beautiful, especially from this variety called Blue Boy from West Coast Seeds. You'll see I've clearly done a lot of growing, and this seed packet has been outside before with how muddy it is, but these cornflowers are so beautiful. So I want to see if I can just scatter a few in here and there and just add that extra pop of color. I'm also going to be growing some amaranth as well. I'm really pushing the boundaries here, but I grew amaranth in our garden last year and I finally had success with it. So when we moved, I actually cut all the amaranth and took it with us. But I was so proud of it. I was so proud to finally be able to grow it and have really good success. So I'm going to try and sneak a couple of these in just to have a couple fronds here and there for decorating, especially for the fall. So I will be growing the burgundy grain amaranth from West Coast Seeds. This one is absolutely stunning, and even when it dries, it holds its color really beautifully. So burgundy grain, definitely one of my favorites, as well as this variety called Hot Biscuits. It is like an orangey brown color. It is the perfect amaranth color for fall. So I had to grow it. This is from Stumps Flower Farm. It is so beautiful. And I'm also going to really try to sneak in some sunflowers. Sunflowers just make the garden look so beautiful in the summertime, and in the fall, I just love it. So I don't know if I'll be able to put this in our cut flower garden or if I can maybe sneak it into our kitchen garden, but I do want to put in some sunflowers. So the variety that I like to grow is the Paradovic variety from West Coast Seeds. This has a nice beautiful brown center and it's just like a really nice traditional sunflower. Additionally, the Pro Cut White Light. This is a very popular variety nowadays, but it's a nice light yellow color with a green center. It is stunning. So I'm going to sneak a couple of those in as well. So that's it for the cut flower garden. I am so excited to get the dahlia tubers sent to me and get the hydrangea over. I cannot wait to plant that out and show you what the cut flower garden is going to be looking like in just a few months. I am so excited. All right, and we'll wrap up this video by talking about the plants that we're going to be growing in our Mediterranean garden. Now, the majority of the plants that I have planned for this area, I actually already have, which is very nice. So first up, I'm going to be growing an olive tree. I have an Arbequina olive tree, and it is looking absolutely stunning. It is probably the most Mediterranean plant out of all of them, I would say, just in terms of looks and origin of the plants, but it is super beautiful. In addition to the olive tree, I will be growing a fig tree, and I already have this. I brought it from our home in Victoria, but this plant originally came from my father-in-law. He had a big fig tree in his yard, and he actually grafted this like off of that tree. So I have it still, and it's growing in a pot, and it's going to be beautiful. Just the texture of the leaves, the figs itself really brings that Mediterranean vibe. Additionally, a Mediterranean garden wouldn't be complete without rosemary. I bought a beautiful rosemary topiary from a local garden center called Garden Works. I basically go there every weekend. It is so much fun for me, but I got this when they were having their customer appreciation days, and I got a 15% off, and I was able to use my points money on top of that. So I love when I get deals on stuff. It's just, I'm so proud. But yeah, this looks super beautiful. Rosemary itself is gorgeous in a Mediterranean garden, but it makes it extra fancy when it's a topiary, I think. And this is just a stunning topiary. I love it. And you can even see like it's growing more beautiful fronds, like even now in the winter. It is beautiful. So I'll be putting that in a nice terracotta pot and putting that in our garden on our balcony. Now, all these plants are fairly green, and I want to introduce a little bit of color. I don't want to go too crazy though. So the only color I'm going to really introduce is purple, and that is through lavender. So I do already have a lavender plant. The variety that I have is called Grosso lavender, and these get fairly big. I'm not too sure how well they're going to do in a container. The lavender adds a beautiful color from the lavender itself, but also from like just the stems and the leaves. It's a nice soft bluish color, which I think is going to be really nice against all the vibrant green of the rest of the plants. Now, there's one other plant that I want to get for the Mediterranean garden, and it is another David Austin rose. I know roses can really be teetering on like English garden versus Mediterranean, but I think with all the other plants that I have and the color of this rose, I think it's going to really achieve that Mediterranean vibe. But the rose that I'm looking for in particular is called Windermere. It's a nice apricot color that kind of echoes the terracotta, and I think it is absolutely stunning. So I love David Austin roses. I really want to grow our collection as well. So I'm interested in finding that one this year. So I will keep my eyes peeled, Please let me know if you see it anywhere in the Lower Mainland. Yeah, Windermere Rose I think will be really beautiful in the Mediterranean garden as well. So in addition to that Grosso lavender that I already have, I do want to grow a little bit more lavender from seed and with a different variety. So I do want to grow the Dwarf Munstead Lavender. This is a special package. Jillian Harris did a collaboration with West Coast Seeds, and yeah, this is like the packaging that they had, but West Coast Seeds still carries like regular Dwarf Munstead Lavender. But I want to grow that one, just to add more of that purple color. And I also want to grow another variety from Vessi Seeds. This is called the Elegance White, and it's actually a white lavender. So I actually had really good success in starting them from seed before, but I didn't actually get to the point where it actually flowered and grew, unfortunately. So I want to give it a second chance and see how this looks in the Mediterranean garden alongside the rest of the lavender. And last but not least, I want to add a little bit of color up there for spring, and I want to grow some sweet peas on a little trellis that I'm going to make in a flower pot. So the variety that I have is called the Early Multiflora Mix from West Coast Seeds, and this is such a beautiful mix. I grew this a few years ago on just kind of like a space divider in our garden, and it was beautiful. They smelled so good. They lasted pretty good as like a little cut flower in a small little vase as well. So the sweet peas will add a really nice, beautiful color and fragrance up on our patio in the spring. So that is it for the Mediterranean garden. I think when all these plants are together and they're in bloom and they're all fleshed out and looking beautiful, it is going to be so gorgeous, and I can't wait to have that little oasis up there during the summer and fall months. All right, so that is it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, please make sure you hit the like button down below, as well as the red subscribe button, to see how I start all these seeds, how we plant our garden, how we set up our garden, how we grow everything throughout the year. It's a big process of gardening, but it is so rewarding and I love it so much, and I'm very excited to share it here with you on YouTube. Also, let me know in the comments below which seed variety you are most interested in. There are so many. I'm looking at the pile of them on my desk here, but yeah, if there's any one that stood out to you, please let me know what that is. And yeah, if you do want to support me, use my affiliate link for West Coast Seeds. They have so many, again, I have to say this all the time because it is so true, but they really have some of the best seeds I have ever grown. They are not very expensive, they're such great quality, and I always achieve success with them. So thank you so much for watching this video. I know by this point it's probably just been a long video and a long time of me talking, but I hope I could tell you a little bit more about the seeds I'm growing and the plants we're going to be putting into our new home. I am super excited to share that here with you on YouTube, and all the other amazing things I share here on my channel, including cooking, home decor, and entertaining content. And again, even though these are all different topics, they all sort of interrelate in how we live throughout the seasons, which is what I'm very interested in sharing here on YouTube, just living that nice holistic lifestyle throughout the year and celebrating the best of each season. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you back here next Sunday. Bye!